Welcome everybody, my name is Michael and today we're discussing about cryptocurrencies Ivory Tower. On Kubera we're going to have a video discussing about this latest pullback, but fear not, Bitcoin most likely and cryptocurrency most likely will continue its bull run. Nobody knows really what will happen, so don't listen to any predictions. If you're a believer, if you've got enough money that you're able to comfortably leave in the markets for the next few years, you shouldn't be worried about the prices regardless. If you've doubled, tripled, quadruple your money, whether you get out right now at 32,000 or at 30,000 or at 35,000, it really shouldn't matter because you already know your financial decision and nobody else can make that decision besides you. So is it the right choice? No one will be able to tell you. If you have bills to pay in the future, it might be a good time to cash out. It was a good time to cash out last week and 2 weeks ago and 3 weeks ago and 4 weeks ago, but it really depends on the person you are. It's still probably going to be a good time to cash out next week and 2 months from now because you can't get too greedy. Don't try and time the market. If you're already doubled or tripled your money, you should be happy with what you have. The average stock market investor is happy with 10% or 9% or even 6% annual returns. If you get 100%, that's something. And it really depends on how much you had. If you doubled $50,000 and you spend less than $2,000 per month on all your living costs, you're in a good position. If you doubled $500 and you don't really care about that $1,000 that's sitting in your bank account right now, or sorry, rather cryptocurrency wallet, but think of it kind of as a bank, it shouldn't matter. So why are we discussing about cryptocurrencies Ivory Tower? What is it, Ivory Tower? Maybe you've heard this term before related to academia. I'm a Bitcoin believer. I'm passionate about cryptocurrency and I understand that this industry is growing at a rapid rate. Not every single year. It's cyclical in my opinion. Everyone's looking at it in different terms. JP Morgan Chase just changes their report every 6 months, but their latest report is similar to what I've been saying for quite a bit already, that this is a cyclical asset, and that's fine. That's all right. People say it's a bubble, then it pops, then it turns into another bubble, but this time it goes higher. I made a video about my opinion on bubbles. I don't think that term is being used correctly, but regardless of whatever happens, even if Bitcoin gets knocked down to number 2 or number 3 in the future, probably not in the near future, but it might happen one day, you have to look at the positives that came out of these past booms and what's to come in probably the next 10-15 years. A lot of companies are using Hyperledger and R3's Corda and Ethereum's Quorum. So there's a lot of great stuff that's come out. Companies are interested in the privacy aspect of databases and putting everything on the ledger. Blockchain is a really cool technology to someone who hears about it for the first time. And if they have a company or if they know somebody who has a company, they might want to incorporate that. And that's been happening over the past few years. And it's going to continue to happen at a rate where there's still a lot of people out there in the world who aren't really convinced about cryptocurrencies yet because either they're not ready to invest, and this just doesn't discuss about cryptocurrency, this goes for everything. Maybe they're just not in the right financial mindset or they don't even have enough capital yet. Maybe they're in a developing part of the world where internet just came about a few years ago. They got their first smartphone and they're just now getting into it. So they're going to get into cryptocurrency in the next few years. And there's huge emerging markets in Southeast Asia, such as India, where there's got to be hundreds of millions of people who are using the internet. And some of them are going to discover about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency for the first time, or in Africa where you have new and emerging markets, or in South America. And this is great. Whenever people learn about cryptocurrency, that's always good. There's going to be people who are interested in the speculative portion of cryptocurrency who want to make a quick buck. And for those, they want to time the market because they just want to make their money, get out, and then come back next cycle. For people who are a little bit long term, maybe you've been here through a few bear markets and you understand maybe one time you were overbullish, maybe another time you were overbearish. You didn't invest and maybe you could have made a lot of money. You were thinking, should I pull that trigger? Another time you were left holding bags. And I've been through a few bull runs. I've been through a few bear markets. I've been in cryptocurrency since around 2014 and 15. I've been interested probably 13 and 14. Started with Bitcoin, got into altcoins. Was using Crypto Exchange, which doesn't even exist anymore. And a lot has happened. But over the past few years, I realized that cryptocurrency, people from my community, the cryptocurrency community, especially influencers, there is a specific problem that we need to be warned. There's people from mainstream media that are all about FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt. They're not able to time the market. Maybe they're jealous. Maybe they want to get in on it. Or maybe they have competing interests. They're invested in stocks or something that just doesn't make sense for them to also be promoting cryptocurrency because they're going to lose money on their stocks or whatever they're invested into. And that's all right. But the people in cryptocurrency usually are invested 100% into cryptocurrency. At least these influencers, the top people, they're constantly shouting about cryptocurrency. And that's great. But even in the bear markets, some of these people are extremely over optimistic. And I used to be very over super optimistic. I fit right into this crowd, and after I lost all of my money, which was over 6 figures for a 19-year-old kid, when you lose over $100,000. I also moved out of America at the time, so in America, $100,000 is a lot. I moved out to Poland, where that's equivalent to around $300,000, $400,000 in America. And that made me really think about my decisions, because most of that, the bulk of that, was lost due to holding bags. Now, of course, there was hundreds of decisions that turned out to be mistakes. It wasn't just one major decision, and every single day that you're holding, or every single day that you're waiting to invest, those are also decisions. Those decisions could be mistakes, or they could be stroke of luck. Some people might say you're a genius, right? There's a problem with cryptocurrency, and that's that a lot of these people at the very top, they've either made their money already because they were an early investor, just like in San Francisco in the golden days where people were trying to get into the gold rush. People who got in early made a lot of money. Then there was the second wave, where they were selling tools to the third wave, and they got rich. Now, of course, eventually the gold ran out, and some of those people that got rich later got into oil. So maybe we're not in the Wild West days of cryptocurrency anymore, where it's so easy to make a lot of money right now, but there's still a lot of opportunities. You first have to have the capital and experience, though, to be able to capitalize on these opportunities and take them. A lot of people in cryptocurrency right now are trying to make money from being the marketers, for being the hype squad, and these people are super optimistic, even when the markets are down, even for cryptocurrencies where they are going to go bankrupt, or they're scam projects, or something is just not right with these cryptocurrencies. I was a fool before, and I've promoted cryptocurrency projects which I thought were going to the moon, but I just didn't understand the fundamentals. I had no idea what I was doing with investing, and I'm sure that half of these influencers, let's face it, sometimes the videos that they post are just complete BS. I'm not going to name any names, because I think every single one of us at one point or another, whether it was a sponsored content piece or a video that we made foolishly that we really believed in this one company, and despite all of the red flags, even when it was a sinking ship, we continued to promote it. It's good to be either in the middle, or if you're a believer like me, you're not so far up in this ivory tower that you realize, all right, if we're heading into a bear market, that's what's going to happen, which I don't think is what's happening right now, but I'm no expert. Who knows? The bull run might just be over. I don't think so. Even though we went from 4,000 to 42,000, that was a lot of money. But if you look at the charts, if you look at the fundamentals, I don't understand it fully, but from what I've been hearing from other people, when I looked at their videos, their content, the reasoning, it's kind of like back in 2017, we're kind of in like May, April territory, not December towards the end, December, January towards the end of the bull run. We might get to 50,000, or we might get to 100,000. I'm not thinking about 300,000 or 500,000 or $1 million, any crazy numbers like that. If we'd get to 100K, that's cool. If not, all right. We will get there in the future, probably the next bull run cycle. And if not, then the one after that. But there's people who will promote, and there's others who will listen to these influencers, to these voices, and they will invest regardless whether they can afford it or not, and they will lose their money because they will panic, or they invested completely wrong into something that won't be worth anything a few years because it's a copycat clone, it's a scam, something's not right with this project, it's not going to stick around, and people who are too far gone into it, it's just like with conspiracies. I'm not trying to hate on the community, I'm trying to look at this from a logical perspective. In academia, the ivory tower is basically a great example would be professors who are teaching business classes, but they've never actually had their own business. In high school, I had a business teacher. I really enjoyed her class, but I asked her, has she ever run a business? Has she ever been an entrepreneur? She said no. And that really made me wonder, but in academia, such as universities, where you have PhDs, people who have spent 10 plus years sometimes to get their bachelor's, to get their master's, then 5-6 years with a dissertation for their PhD, and they've never had a normal corporate job, and they're discussing about business, really makes you wonder, well, what do they know about the corporate world? And even if they did have experience, if it's from 20, 30 plus years ago, the environment has so rapidly changed and so drastically that people have a tough time finding a job right now. And even though college is not supposed to be this corporate boot camp that prepares you for a job right now, because college is just supposed to open your mind so you're ready to learn anything, just in case the industry that you've spent the past few years learning about suddenly goes under, or the company that you wanted to work for suddenly doesn't even exist anymore by the time you had college. You're still able to learn about something that's in the industry or similar to what you've been learning about. You have the basic rough idea. Now you go outside of college, you start learning at an internship, you get an apprenticeship, you get whatever, you start freelancing while you're looking for a full-time job. Once you get that full-time job, you learn on the job, you get some courses, you get some certifications, you move up the corporate ladder, Well, cryptocurrency, you have these people just like these professors who are blinded to everything else because either they were early investors and they made a lot of money regardless of whatever was happening. Even with a terrible bear market, there's still 100x up or 1000x up. There's just no way they're going to lose all of their money. Some of these guys are millionaires or multi-millionaires. Or you have the other crowd where they're promoters and they're getting paid regardless of whether the market is in a good position or in a bad position. Because just like the mainstream media, they're making money from clicks, from views, from advertisements. Of course, they're going to have less advertisements and less sponsorships. But if they're smart, if they're a large enough channel, and this isn't just for YouTube, you have a lot of Twitter influencers, you have a lot of blog sites, and a lot of people who own these investment pools on Facebook and Telegram and WhatsApp and Discord and Slack, and that's all right. And people who are making $10,000 to $20,000 per month from their Patreon group, so they're sharing their best stock advice and their best crypto picks. Not every one of these guys is an expert. Some of these guys are way too over optimistic, and their whole business model is to try and get as many people following this cult-like personality. So regardless of whatever happens in the markets, they continue to receive money, and a few of their supporters, if they're smart, they might make money, but everyone else will either lose a little bit of money because they chose the wrong picks, or if they chose something way stabler like Bitcoin or Ethereum, these classic cryptocurrencies that you just have to wait for the next cycle. These people, well, they're going to be stuck holding bags if they bought at peak all-time high for the next 2 years, maybe the next year if they're lucky. But not everyone will have the patience, and some people will, unfortunately, so. Anyways, I'm sure this video turned into a rant. Sometimes I have this trouble really getting my thoughts out and fully explaining something in 5 minutes, so it usually turns into 15 minutes. I'm not trying to hit on cryptocurrency. I'm not trying to hit on any specific influencers. I love the cryptocurrency community. I think there's a lot of stuff that we're super excited about. Cryptocurrency is revolutionary in some ways. Maybe it's not all it's turned out to be, but that's like with every single industry out. When the internet first came out, there was good things about it. There was some really bad stuff that still exists to this day, decades later. But overall, it has revolutionized our world. And without it, the modern day world would look completely different. So I have positive thoughts for the rest of 2021. Hopefully, Bitcoin recovers back up to $40,000, but if it doesn't, as long as you're happy, you're not too greedy, you're making profits here and there, 10%, 15%, maybe you get lucky, but then you understand, hey, that luck's not going to follow you everywhere. If you're a Bitcoin believer, if you're a cryptocurrency believer, try to whatever you can do to stay in this industry. And if you're not an investor, maybe you want to work in the industry, which, by the way, we're going to have some videos about that coming up really soon. So that's something to look forward to. Don't sell your house, especially if you're a family man and kids. Don't go into debt investing into cryptocurrency. Don't be stupid. Don't listen to any particular people without doing your research first before you invest. Just think logically, and you will make money with cryptocurrency, because most people, sooner or later, they will screw up. I've screwed up. Many of you have screwed up. And once you make a few of these mistakes, then you start to think a little bit more logically. So hopefully you'll make less of these mistakes. When you're not as greedy, you're looking at the long term. You're taking out more money. Maybe it takes a while to start rolling some steam, but that exponential growth comes whether you like it or not, as long as you don't invest in something that is a crap coin. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. I will see you guys in tomorrow's video. Thanks for watching. Bye.